So we're here about how to harness machine learning to impact your bottom line. It's a lightning round. It's going to go lightning fast, and we'll give you some resources to learn from at the end. So to that end, I'm going to flash by who am I, my certifications, degrees, et cetera, likes, dislikes, and the agenda, which is the why, what, how of machine learning. And then we're going to show you specific examples of FileMaker and machine learning. So let's get started. This is a clip from a 2002 movie called Minority Report. And it shows how retailers can use machine learning to connect with customers. The initial technology used is an iris eye scanner that's used to identify John Anderton, played by Tom Cruise. It then shows personalization of marketing towards what John Anderton knows and likes. So let's take a look.
A road diverges in the desert. Lexus. The road you're on, John Anderton, is the one less traveled. Make sure you follow
Good evening, John. You can move the old-fashioned
John Anderton.
provides gourmet cuisine. John Anderton, you can use a Guinness right about now.
Stressed out, John Anderton?
Escape from it all, Harrison. Get away, John Anderton. Forget your troubles.
So this is starting to seem familiar in life a bit, and a little bit annoying because it's so much in your face. But it often works because humans like to be innately like to be seen and recognized and their needs catered to. So with FileMaker, we might not yet use much biometric authentication, but we usually have a customer ID that we can use to personalize actions with a customer. And personalization is an area that a McKinsey report found has a big impact on your business bottom line. Other areas like recommendations, we've all seen how well that works with Amazon and Netflix. And then operations and logistics operation is a big potential area for FileMaker solutions. Luke Rochester already has a large client using machine learning to gain production insights and reduce production inefficiencies in a live system. As far as predictive maintenance and analytics, image recognition can be used to identify quality and repair issues, and machine learning can be used for predicting inventory replenishment needs. And then you can also use machine learning to automate price and product placement so that a customer buys. Another thing machine learning can do is protect your business from data loss, hackers, by identifying threats and anomalies and even fraud. And in all of the above, IoT and RPA, which is robotic process automation, can come into play via sensing and then taking a physical or a software action based on a situation. So in these areas, think about where you might have a problem that machine learning might help with. And then let's talk about who we should think about when we think about machine learning success. It should be Amazon. Amazon became the powerhouse that they are on the backs of machine learning, specifically personalization and smart logistics. And over the past few years, the barrier to entry in machine learning has been greatly lowered. You don't have to be an Amazon or even close to implement machine learning in your organization. You can look smaller via personalization or larger via smart logistics. Machine learning is an equalizer. So how does Amazon make this happen? Well, every year, Amazon executives are required to submit a brief and answer the question. One of the questions is, how are you using machine learning? Not much or not at all is not an acceptable answer, according to an Economist article. So think about how your business can do the same, because machine learning is a multiplier. It gives you leverage. And let's talk about what exactly machine learning is. Well, it's not this. And we're not going to talk about this, other than be careful of the data we produce when we interact with different races, ages, and genders. Yeah. So what it is a lot of things. And it's like the genie in Aladdin. Lots of terms and powers, but I have an itty-bitty space to talk about this. So AI is anything that mimics humans simulating intellectual tasks. And the term AI, you'll find, is often used for things that are actually machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of AI, and I put a definition here that you can read. If you look at the data in this definition, that can be FileMaker data that's used to train a machine learning model or machine learning can be used to derive insights from your data. Now, deep learning is a subset of machine learning that uses neural networks and requires a large amount of data. We could spend a bunch of time we don't have talking about deep learning, so we won't get into the details. However, you will see examples of deep learning with FileMaker data. So that brings up a question people often have is, do I have enough data in my FileMaker system to do machine learning? And the answer is that different machine learning algorithms require different amounts of data. And different complexity of use cases require higher or lower amounts of data. And you'll see some examples today of FileMaker data and machine learning and the size of the data. So large amounts of data are needed for deep learning, which involves image or text or speech. But these often have pre-trained models out there on large sets of data like human language. The other thing is every day there are new and new ways coming out to deal with small data sets, like synthetic data, open source data, transfer learning. But again, be careful to be, that your data is not biased. Now, as far as accuracy, a lot of times approximation is good enough for your decisions in your business and to give value to your business. When you make decisions as a human, you often don't have complete information or certainty. Now that said, there are areas where the highest accuracy is very important, like autonomous driving or policing by image recognition. But one goal can be to be better than humans in those areas. So those are some of the concerns. Let's get back to what's your problem and what's your goal. And then we get into some of these other machine learning terms and what do you want from your data. So most of the examples out there, the business examples, are supervised and semi-supervised learning. And this involves labeling data, training a model, and then mapping inputs to outputs. Now this labeling, this thing labeling, isn't just about, is this a cat or not? It could be, is this customer text negative or positive? Does this series of sensor results mean we should take this action? Does this series of action mean we have fraud at hand or a hacker at hand? So think about some problems you have there. Unsupervised is when you have unlabeled data and you want to discover groupings or structures, groupings or unknown structures. So an example of this would be for customer segmentation or discovering unseen correlations. And then reinforcement learning, we won't get into too much today, but it's learning by being rewarded with an environment. And you hear about it when you hear about machines teaching themselves how to win the game of Go or chess or shogi. So per Andrew Ng, who's a machine learning guru, most of the economic value right now is in supervised and semi-supervised machine learning. So let's talk a bit about the general ways you implement this. So there's two general ways, and then there's a lot of in between. One is you can train your own model, train your own dragon by providing a lot of data and then a learning curve or expertise to train the model. But the low-hanging fruit, and it's even lower now that we own or have an API company, is to call pre-trained services, which are a lot of times called via APIs. And then there's a lot of in-between ways to train a model, where you start with a broad model and get to specifics. So to illustrate this further, if I want to train a model to recognize my cat, I need to provide a bunch of pictures of my cat and then the expertise and understanding to train a model to recognize my cat. But if I had a famous cat, Grumpy Cat, then I could call a celebrity recognition service, and Amazon has one. I could just send up an API call and recognize Grumpy Cat. And then there's in-between options of starting with a general cat model and then training to specifics, and we won't get into the details. Rest in peace, Grumpy Cat. So what are some tools you can use? Well, there is a large variety of tools that have different levels of expertise and different costs. You have the coding libraries, the machine learning libraries, coding and visual frameworks, semi-automated and automated machine learning, and then the lowest hanging fruit is the AI services, specifically the ones that you can just make an API call to. So the top is open source, free, so more time, but the other providers often have free tools that you can, tiers or tools that you can try out. So let's dive into a little bit of these AI services here. And we're going to look on the right here, if you look there first. These are some of the Amazon services. There's some voice to text. There's image recognition, which Joe and Johan are going to show today. And a little bit of guidance. First of all, don't just look at this list and say, I could use this for that problem, or wouldn't it be cool to use this tool in my business? Don't fit a solution to a problem or impulse buy. The other thing is, don't just stick to one provider. You can use a multitude of providers from your solutions just like you do with other API calls. Now, you may pick one provider based on where you shop or what infrastructure you use or privacy concerns, but you have a choice. The other thing is sometimes your problem does not require machine learning. It can be solved by a report or analytics. So don't just use machine learning for vanity. Focus on your problem and your goal. So back to the data. There's lots of ways to integrate FileMaker and machine learning. And some of these are going to be, we're going to show some different examples today. And another thing to note is your FileMaker can be in the cloud or on-premise. And it can even be in an AWS cloud and call another provider in another cloud for an ML or AI service. So a good way to get started is to look at some of the samples I've posted on the community where they've worked out the authentication, the signing, and the API calls. And those are only continue to grow. Likewise, the number of frameworks and tools and AI services is constantly growing. Every day it's continually changing. If you tried to put together a list tomorrow, it would be wrong. It's a disruptive technology. The landscape is continually changing, but that also means there's new options for your business problem. So in summary, it impacts your bottom line. It's becoming more accessible. It integrates with FileMaker, and it's probably being used by you or your clients' competitors. So we're going to have the next rounds now of Joe.